which I thought was too astonishing not to talk about again.
Recap.
Yeah, a recap. Since
You were having a...
Yeah. Since World War II.
Yes, thanks.
Good result.
Yeah.
Since World War II, there has not been a prisoner of war camp in Europe. Well, now there is. There's actually a concentration camp. It's not a prisoner of war. It's a concentration camp in Europe. It's actually in Chechnya, which is technically still in Europe, but really it's in the border of Asia.
Wow.
But Chechnya is ran by the Russians. Of course, Chechnya is ran by the Russians, but the guards are actually Muslims. All Muslims, and they execute people each day. Homosexuality.
Big
Concentration camp for homosexuals in Chechnya.
Oh, wow.
Ran by Muslims, and they killed so many a day.
Oh, boy.
So the first concentration camp in Europe since World War II, and the Germans,
Wow.
the Russians, and the Muslims, concentration camp of homosexuals in Chechnya. That's an exceptional thing. And all that talks about how loving the Muslims are.
Oh.
As long as you think their way. Probably not even this.
If that's successful, then they'll open one up for Christians. Watch and see if they
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Christians should be there. There's been a rash.
When you see them, you wonder. You know, when you see them together, the wife and the husband and stuff, you wonder. You know, now I do. You know, I wonder, is he beating her? You know, is this true?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Now, the last couple of weeks, there's been a rash of attacks on ISIS,
Yeah.
and not by the U.S., but by animals.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
Seriously?
it was
What?
wild boars.
Wild boars and lions.
Yeah.
Smart animals.
Wild boars and animals. Okay.
Even they know that ISIS is
Well,
poor boys.
the wild boars, because Muslims hate pigs.
Oh, yeah.
They're striking
And the
back.
pigs are striking back.
Yeah.
But listen here,
Yeah.
miracle. This time, Lion saves Christians. The chief of the Christian ministry that works underground because of its outreach into Muslim-dominated communities in the Middle East is reporting a startling claim: his rescue from Islamic militants by a pride of lions. Pastor Paul Shinjia, the director of Bibles for Mideast, who delivers Bibles, preaches the gospel, and plants house churches in strife-torn regions. He says that while Islam remains dominant, thousands of people now secretly believe in Jesus Christ as their Savior. House churches is the group established are under the banner of non-denominational assemblies of the Living God Church. A convert from Islam, Pastor Paul founded the work some 4 decades ago and has survived a battle with leukemia. A 9-board member of directors governs his ministry. A new report he delivered this week to WND. He says he was recovering from injuries he received in an attack by Islamic jihadists when the rescue occurred. It was Easter Sunday. He was recovering in a home of friends in a forested area near where the group had been working. Suddenly, a group of militants reached the house armed with steel bars and other weapons. He reported to the WND. In a home with him and others, including a woman aged 80, several children under the age of 4, and several women, and a woman 7 months pregnant. Losing all hope, he thought for sure this would be his last day, he said. But while the group was praying, he reported a strange occurrence. Completely unexpected, a lion ran from the forest, leaped towards the militants, and seized one by the neck. When other combatants tried to attack the lion, 2 other lions bounded towards them. The terrified militants fled the site, and the lions left us completely alone, he said. Equally astonishing records show no lions are supposed to live in that forest, he said. He reported it had been approaching the closing of a 21-day period of fasting and praying. As that drew to a close, more than 3,000 former Muslims were baptized in many of our churches in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. The Lord enabled me to baptize many people during this time, he said.
So,
it says a
I
lot
wonder
of
who's
them.
orchestrating the animals.
Well, I don't know, but I tell you what, though, either that or the animals
would
are really
say-
smart.
I would say it's probably God orchestrating it.
So, pretty cool.
You
Chelsea
feel them, don't you them?
Chelsea Clinton gets another award for doing nothing, this time for packing grapefruit.
Packing grapes.
Yeah.
It's an award.
And the more of those awards you
Packing
get,
grapes.
Just another Clinton brat.
the more you get awards, the more you demand for speaking. Pope Francis arrives in Cairo on his apology tour.
Oh, the apology tour.
Please, we're sorry that we're treating you so badly.
The apology tour.
Okay.
Got
Two
this
things
promo
here.
all worked out.
2 things here about the educational system in England. Children must be taught about Islam in this Church of England. The Church of England is insisting that everybody be taught Islam. Parents who have concerns about their children being taught about Islam should be banned from pulling them out of religious education lessons, according to the Church of England. In England, they have RE courses, religious education courses in the public schools.
Imagine that.
And they teach Islam.
Glad I don't go to school today. I'm glad I'm not a kid.
Seniors, and currently you can pull your kids out of those classes, but they're trying to change that to where you cannot pull your kids out of the classes. Senior Church of England official Derek Holloway said that drawing children from RE lessons could leave them without the skills required to live in a diverse society and live well together as adults. He also cautioned against fundamentalist groups using human rights legislation to keep children from learning about different worldviews. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. We don't want our kids to hear that
Our God has gives us free will.
or that there's no human rights violations, like in Islam. Sadly and dangerously, the right of withdrawal from RE is now being exploited by a range of interest groups, often using the dubious interpretation of human rights legislation. Parents who are currently entitled to withdraw their children from RE classes without having to provide a reason, although Holloway said the right should be repealed as it leaves a gap in pupils' education. This is seemingly because they do not want our children exposed to other faiths and worldviews, in particular Islam, Holloway told the Associated Press. Bunch of racists, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
You don't want to take those, you don't want to send your kids to school for those RE classes because they're racist. Besides repealing the right to withdraw, Holloway said in a post on the Church of England Facebook page that standardized RE lessons should be introduced into the curriculum. Should be a requirement. Transgender and LGBT issues should be taught to kids as young as 2, British Teachers Union declared.
Yeah, I've seen that before too.
Yeah. A British Teachers Union said transgender and LGBT issues should be taught to nursery school students as young as 2 years old. The union said that teachers passed a motion which called on members to campaign to ensure a comprehensive age-appropriate content, including protection of LGBTQ+ matters for all schools from nursery through all phases of state education.
This is how they're shoving it down our throat.
2 years old.
That's
And then,
in Britain, right?
yeah, in Britain.
And
Hopefully, food not coming to get it.
probably around 1980.
Well, our public school system, who knows?
I work at a Holiday Inn, that's Belmont. And one of the ladies that worked at the front desk was from England. And we talked, and, about the Lord and that. I said, what do you think they would say if, spoke to people in England like I'm talking to you? And she said that they wouldn't have any idea what you're talking about. All the churches, or not all the churches, but many of the churches have been turned into barns.
That one that you, wasn't she Muslim or something? Called and she fell, or you couldn't talk to her anymore or something?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
I just asked her, what would you do if you died tonight? I heard this crash, and then someone was passed out. It was still connected. I don't know if she passed out with a question or what.
When we were calling England.
Well, we had that article 2 weeks ago, which since 9/11, 500 churches have closed down.
Yeah.
So,
Since 9/11.
in England, in London, in London. London.
400 and some odd
Like
mosques.
426 mosques have opened.
Yeah.
DNC calls for abortion rights litmus test for Democrats. If you want to be a Democrat, according to the new DNC chairman, you gotta believe in abortion.
Fight back.
Yeah.
That's their thing. Trump is on a roll.
Yeah.
So, if you want to be a Democrat in the next coming election and run for office, you will not get any funds. You will not get any funds if you believe in you're against abortion. If you're against abortion, you will not get any funds from the Democratic Party. And they expect all Democrats to support abortion. So. Which is where I was. I mean, I always tell people that I didn't leave the Democratic Party. I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. I grew up Democrat, until I realized that as a Christian and that was back then. I mean, stuff was much worse. When you boot God, you got serious issues.
I mean, it's come to the point where the Democratic Party is becoming the Communist Party.
Well, die-hard Democrats say that never happened.
Yeah. Rebel Catholic group defies church ordains woman priest in North Carolina. An international group defiantly opposed to the Roman Catholic Church's ban on women priests Sunday ordained the first woman Catholic priest in the 46 counties that make up the Catholic Diocese of Charlotte. North Carolina. The ordination ceremony of Abigail Ezra happened in Asheville at Jubilee, a non-denominational faith community with Bishop Bridget Mary Meehan presiding. Ezra, 64, said she is the second woman in Carolina ordained by the rebel group called the Association of Catholic Women Priests. It's time for a change, and we're forefront leading the charge. Ezra told the Observer on Sunday, we expect that eventually everybody is going to follow us. Ezra said that she now plans to start a Catholic worship community in the Asheville area. There's the Association of Roman Catholic Women Priests. There's 250 of them in 10 countries that has been ordained as Catholic priests in the United States. It said that women priests serve 65 inclusive churches. It includes women priests affiliated with the association and the second allied group, the Women Catholic Women's Priests. That is the same mission. Several major Protestant denominations have women clergy, including the Episcopalians, Lutherans, United Methodists, and Presbyterians. Most American Catholics say they'd like their church to ordain women too. A Pew Research study poll in 2015 found that 6 out of 10 American Catholics said they favor allowing women to be Catholic. So more.
Well, that was a
more
debate for a long
Catholic
time when I was a Catholic. They wanted women on priests. The other one was letting priests get married. That was the
Well,
other one.
they have a quite
do
a
that.
disparity of people wanting to become priests now. So
Yeah. So you get from the Catholic Church's point of view, Jesus had 12 disciples. None of them were Catholic. From the Catholic women's priest's point of view, Mary Magdalene was the first person to hear the gospel, and she was actually the proclaimer to the apostles. So they say that's proof that women could be pastors. Portal Star angers churchgoers by declaring that an evangelical Christian who believes God sees nothing wrong with her work.
Here we go.
Portal Star in Brazil, a couple hundred films, evangelical Christian. She says,
Have your cake
don't be
and eat it
judgmental.
too.
Don't be judgmental. She does good works, and she brings her Bible to church every time she goes to church.
well, there you go.
There we
As
go.
long as you carry the Bible, you can just throughout the
And do good work.
Well, you know,
You just absorb that if you carry it in your
a
hand.
lot of,
Yeah.
you know, movies that you would call not foreign movies, but not healthy, but decent movies either. Some of those people are Christians.
I'm expecting, unless there's a major revival, I'm expecting a major Christian singer to start as a homosexual proclaimed singer and gain popularity in the church. Lesbian or homosexual.
Well, wasn't that who turned him?
Starting, not just
Yeah.
suddenly one day.
Proclaiming after they
I'm
got
talking about
famous.
starting with no fact that you're okay. We're headed in that direction.
And they're gonna be.
What have been with what was that one
They're gonna be
singer?
popular because they're gonna say
Oh, they're gonna sing.
touches.
Who was that one Christian artist who proclaimed himself gay?
What?
Was that one Christian artist proclaimed himself gay?
Who was it?
Ray Bolt.
Ray Bolt.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, Ray Bolt.
That was like what, 5 years ago? Yeah.
He's the
You
one
didn't know
that
that?
sings.
Watch the Lamb, all those, you know.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time probably before that someone starts out that way
Oh.
and gains popularity.
Oh.
Probably because they won the
Millions that they were before they got the
The Christian radio stations have
Oh, yeah.
stopped playing his music.
He still plays music. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Um,
Which is the reason why I made that statement.
maybe WVON does. They probably.
I don't know.
K-Love, I'm not sure. I don't know. I never heard it on K-Love.
God.
I listen to the
city.
I pretty much follow radio stations' rotations, and I pretty much know what's on certain
Hey, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there just fighting the city, you know.
Oh yeah, it's a
Losing battle.
It's a never-ending battle for truth and justice.
in the American way.
And the
Wait a
American
minute, that was
or
different.
at least the American way that we used to know it.
Yeah, the American way we used to know it.
Used to was, yeah.
Based on Superman rerun.
Yeah. Lois murdered. Public can never know what I did. This came from last week too. She was the head of the IRS, which were persecuting Christians and conservative groups,
Right.
Tea Party groups, Christian groups, churches.
Denied
She
it.
says that she will testify, but she doesn't want any of her information to come up public, because the public must never know.
Right.
And what?
It's like Obama.
Yeah. And that's who she's protecting. too.
He's now saying that if everyone knew about him, they would have never gotten elected.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And also that they would be open for
That all
prosecution. too.
the conspiracy theories were right, huh?
Yeah.
Prosecuting all of them.
Yeah.
I believe that Alex Jones exposed a lot.
I don't know. I don't even listen to him anymore.
Also from last week, I find interesting.
He yells more than he talks.
They believe that record number of retail stores will close this year, above 2008.
Well, we got a good start at that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Subway was going to close. How many stores?
I got it.
Subway?
Well,
Bunch.
Subway too?
Hobby Lobby.
They're predicting
Hobby
that,
Lobby?
They're predicting that 8,640 stores will close this year, which beats the 6,200 stores closed in the record-setting year of 2008. So over 2,000 more stores, almost 2,500 more stores.
It's all Trump's fault.
This year, well, these are ones that went bankrupt. And
Well, you want to see a dead ball? Go to South Park.
of course, the Family Christian Bookstore
Yeah, that's.
closed. The one in Davenport was a chain they closed down in February. They've been in bankruptcy for several years. But amongst those, the Radio Shack's closing. I think all.
That
of
was a
them.
bummer. That was
I
a
think this one
bummer.
closed already.
Yeah.
Nice.
Payless Shoe Stores closing 400 stores. Route 21, our new store here in Clinton here. Yeah, they're closing 400 stores out of 1,100. So.
Oh,
I
another
kinda
wasted
respect
building
that
in
one.
Clinton.
Family Christian Bookstore, 240 stores. JCPenney, 138. Kmart, 100. And Hey Greg, which is electronics. Chain.
Another one?
Yeah, they're closing 55 stores. Staples, or 85 stores. Staples,
I have to
70
go to
stores.
Radio Shack and get all my wires and plugs.
CVS, 70 stores. Macy's, 68.
CVS is like a Walgreens. It's like a Walgreens,
Yeah,
yeah.
CVS is a pharmacy.
Yeah, pharmacy.
Drugstore
CVS,
chain.
They're closing 70. Sears, 41. Gander Mountain, they're closing 30 stores. And the list goes on and on.
It's fun to go into Gander Mountain. It's like going into a museum Paul's store.
Yeah.
I think Gander Mountain filed bankruptcy last year.
Cops must be shooting right
What was
there.
really Gander Mountain?
Gander
then? What did
Mountain
they
filed
sell?
bankruptcy protection
I've never been
this
in
year.
one.
They filed it this year.
It's an amazing place. You go in there and like you can do archery and play basketball, all kinds of crazy things.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I've heard of Granger. What is that? I've seen that
Ranger
too.
is a bunch of parts and
Oh.
machine type things. Well, you know, welders, furnaces, all kinds of crazy things.
Florida teacher reportedly banned students from wearing cross, now threatened with legal action. Tampa, Florida high school teacher prohibited students from wearing cross necklaces in her classroom. Amazingly, she was also
We can't with
let's see, somewhere here. She's also pro-homosexual. Somewhere in here, I believe.
Imagine that.
Yes. She also promotes LGBT activism and social media during her class hours.
Imagine that.
And expressed her plans to participate in Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network's Day of Silence, which will be held Friday. A Day of Silence was a student-led campaign that aims to bring attention to LGBT bullying at schools across the nation, and yet you can be bullied for wearing a cross.
Cool.
Yeah. Her explanation is it's a gang symbol.
Oh yeah.
They are not gang symbols, but a symbol of personal faith.
You can be gangs for Jesus.
A Christian road.
Yeah. See them doggone Christians walking around causing all kinds of problems.
We're a bunch of gangs.
Hey, that reminds me.
Making the symbol of the fish with their hands, you know.
Yeah, gang.
Yeah.
We all the fish too.
I don't know who took it for.
Well, then,
Do they have something?
The fishermen thing.
Yeah.
China preparing for a huge exodus of North Koreans fleeing war. The Chinese are looking for interpreters. and they're sending them along the Chinese-Korean border in an expectation that a war could break out between the United States and Korea, and a big exodus of Koreans fleeing the country
To China?
to China.
China sends them back. Usually.
Well, they have
China
like
sends them back.
150 troops sitting there on their border with guns.
Then they get
150,000.
Yeah, 150,000 troops.
Put in a concentration.
I don't think they're going to let them walk too far over the border myself.
No, no.
Well, they're making plans.
They're
I've
kind
been
of
reading
cruel people.
conflicting reports between Japan and the United States, where Japan was supposed to be protecting one of its islands from the United States, or the southernmost thing, or something, a chain of islands.
Yeah.
It's in dispute over there.
Yeah,
I've heard
feels
that.
Anyway, and then they're out there supporting. You got 2 destroyers supporting an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
The next day.
Well, there's not going to be a war between Japan and the United States, but there is a dispute with them and also the Soviets. There's a dispute
There's
with the Soviets.
10 nations that have those islands that China put all those airports on and stuff like that, missile silos.
they're making man-made islands out
They're
there.
making them.
They're adding to the atolls and things like that.
Wow.
But they've got incredible mineral and incredible oil, and China wants it all.
And control of the South China Sea for trade
Right.
routes.
Did you hear that Russia was sinking nuclear weapons into the sea so that they want the United States to have this huge tsunami when
Right
it goes
across.
off.
Right off the coast, because we are
A huge tsunami.
That's because the Obama administration put more weapons along the borders of Russia all over, from north to south.
So
Wonderful.
they're planting a bunch of them in.
What the heck is going on with this Obama and Hillary? We got him arrested. He can't come back to the United States, and he's talking to the University of Chicago.
What?
Huh?
What?
$400,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Hillary just talked in front of the American Architects Association down in Florida. $400,000 or $200,000, whatever.
Yeah, you know, that's the reason why Chelsea getting these awards for doing nothing, packing bags of grapefruit. Every time you get one of those awards, you get more money, and of course with Hillary Clinton, Obama, you command $400,000 millions of dollars for speaking engagements.
Clinton Brad.
Elaborate money laundering schemes.
Yeah, how about that Lady Michelle? What is it, 4.2 tons of cocaine? And I think Barry was on board there when they shut it down. How can you shut down a diesel-powered motor ship? Huge thing.
That's a
It
hard
dwarfs
thing
their.
to do.
I'm sorry?
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, but they have the technology to do it.
Sure they do.
Fly overhead and shut it down. A diesel. They shut down the electronic. A diesel runs without timing or anything like that.
Yeah, without electronics.
But it has electric pumps.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nothing fun.
So they figured out a way of doing that.
Yeah, my dad used to work on the diesel motors in the Navy,
Uh-huh.
and he said that sometimes those things are getting so hot you couldn't shut them down; they just have to run out of fuel.
Wow.
Also, they're reversing their policies on school education, school luncheons too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
they're going to be able to
kids
eat
can
real
eat food again.
Kids can eat it, yeah.
Yeah, they were throwing that stuff away.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure they were.
Garbage.
Eating it.
A couple crackers and I don't know,
And this-
vegetables.
Yeah. This is about the nation of Israel. U.S. Senate unanimously warns UN to stop targeting Israel. 100 senators voted unanimously and sent a letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and told the UN body, including the Human Rights Council, to quit basically targeting Israel for their human rights violations.
Gutierrez is from Chicago. He's just a street thug. I know him.
So think about Israel here. Israel has a Sharia court, and they have Sharia courts in Israel.
Do they?
first ever female judge ever in Israel elected as a Sharia court judge.
Wow.
And support for a two-state solution slipping amongst Jews. Just half of the Israeli Arabs say they back establishment of a Palestinian state, and just 4% say they would ever want to live in such a state. 4% of the Israeli Arabs, Muslims, would not like to live in a Palestinian state. Only 4% want to live there. The other 96% said they wouldn't want to live there.
That's why they went to Israel, probably to escape the
Get away from
Muslim regimes.
Yeah.
I read yesterday that during World War III that the best place to hold out the war is in Israel.
Oh,
It doesn't seem to
Doesn't
me
seem
to
like-
be the case.
Yeah.
No, it's not the case. It's not the case. I mean, to me, that would be the last place.
I go to Jordan.
Jordan, Petra, yeah. UK refuses Palestinian demand for a Balfour Declaration apology. The Palestinians want the United Kingdom to say that they made a huge mistake. It's the 100th year anniversary of the 1917 Balfour Declaration, which led to Israel becoming a nation. Palestinians wanted the UK to apologize for that. They said they would not. And then climate change.
Oh, Hillary's blaming climate change for losing the election.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, there was a storm that happened. But I don't
Yeah.
think it was
Monster snowstorm in Colorado
Yeah.
forces postponement of a climate change and global warming rally.
Yeah,
I heard they had 9 inches
I
of
talked
snow.
about it on the radio the other
And their
day.
skiing shut down. They had 9 inches of snow.
They actually had a date for this rally. They canceled it for another date, but there was a snowstorm that date, so they had to cancel it again.
I thought that was
I had to wait
funny.
till at least
That
Sunday.
was
It
hilarious.
used to be global cooling, now it's global warming.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I did a bit on that on my radio show. I was having fun with that.
This is analysts say that it's not just droughts, but nearly all extreme weather is declining or at near record lows.
You got like a radio show like Alex Jones or something like that?
It's on Spreaker. I have it.
I got you.
Extreme weather. Scientists Congress in 2017 says there's no evidence that hurricanes, floods, droughts, tornadoes are increasing.
Yeah.
This is from a doctor at the University of Colorado. Tornadoes. NOAA tornadoes data revealing in 2016 that 2016 was one of the quietest years since record began in 1954, below average for the 5th year in a row for tornadoes.
I was reading where a huge piece of like shelf ice fell off, and then it blocked the usual cold water that used to go through this small opening, and that has affected the upper winds, the ocean's currents, and now it's resuming towards more normal, but it's the biggest piece of ice ever, and it went all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, and it stopped the flow of the cold water.
You know, I heard about some kind of ice block.
Yeah, that's the one.
Hurricanes. Inconvenient NOAA report is premature to conclude, but has already detected a detectable impact on hurricanes. NOAA reported that this is 11 straight years without a major hurricane 3+.
Wow.
11 years, there has been no 3+ category
11 years?
hurricane.
I think tornadoes are up
Which is
though,
a
right?
record.
About 4 times.
Yeah.
Well, they're forgetting Sandy because that is less than 11 years.
Tornadoes is also
For hurricanes.
quietest. Last year was one of the quietest years since 1954. Really? 5th year in a row.
Yeah,
I read it was up.
1954. No.
I would have thought it was up because
Yeah.
I read it was
I
way
would
up.
think it was up.
No.
maybe it's the severity of them.
the
You know.
severity, yeah.
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 I've been in 3.
I did a story on my radio show. There's one in Brazil, tornado.
I watch real good now. I know what to look for.
Floods are also decreasing. Floods are also decreasing.
They just had a flood in what was
Floods
that?
are decreasing.
Carolinas, I think.
Floods are not increasing. Global, which is a big proponent to global warming. If it warms, you're going to have all your coastlines disappearing.
Which reminds me, all along our East Coast is like a highway, and it's like infill. We've lost all the sandy estuaries that, you know, the creatures from the ocean come in and then they make their babies and stuff and then go back out. It's all kind of blocked. And then we've lost like 90% of our sand that used to coat the East Coast. So you've got like a whole wall there where marine life can't come in and then make themselves and then go back out. You know?
So the whole thing of it is here is the serious floods are sharply down, and flooding as a whole is down. Heavy rains, 1,000-year rainfall studies suggest that droughts and floods used to be longer and worse.
We've had 300-year rains or floods in the past 10 years here in this area.
Well, drought used to be a fairly big issue, like out west and out in Florida. Now droughts have really been knocked down. And this is the last of the droughts right there. That's the last of the droughts. At one time this whole southwest area was all drought.
But you would think that here, this summer, we wouldn't have a drought because we didn't have hardly any snow this past winter.
Yeah,
We got weird weather now. The farmers that aren't in, they're worried that they're not going to get in right, and the ones who planted early, they're worried that
too much rain.
Their seeds that are germinating get cold and then they get moldy. Yeah, that corn.
We've had a frost warning last night.
They might have to replant again.
That's not good.
So, floods down, droughts down, tornadoes down, hurricanes down.
But hey, global warming though.
Well, what is up is volcanoes and hurricanes, which are.
I heard something about Yellowstone has got a big problem.
With what?
Cordero?
No, or
Cordero?
I thought it was a caldera.
They're waiting for a volcano to erupt in
huge
Yellowstone,
one.
and people have to, you have to stay away from.
It's going to be worse than
area.
that mountain that blew up.
Mount St. Helens.
Yeah,
Mount St. Helens. Is that what that one?
Mount St. Helens was.
Okay, you're right. You're right. Like
but
the one in Yellowstone.
If it goes off, we'll get 3
there's
feet
more
of
and
ash.
more pressure.
We'll get 3 feet of ash.
Here?
Yeah. It
Well,
will
that'll
flow.
knock out life.
Yeah.
It'll be bad.
It'll be bad.
We have
It'll be an ash storm, like a
Vaccinate.
snowstorm.
Sometimes.
Like a blizzard.
We have more super volcanoes than any other country.
I'm moving to China. I'm going to learn North Korean.
And
yeah, then you can, translate.
Be a border guard.
these are all articles on Trump borrowed a page from Obama on a page to create more executive orders than any other president. Of course, the bad thing about it is those are going to all be reversed by the next president.
Yeah.
To set the record.
Yeah.
He says 100 days most successful ever, which, you'd think, well, he didn't get anything through, but...
that's what they're saying. The news.
But here is the first 100 days, and this came from last week too, first 100 days ignores Trump's decreased U.S. debt by $100 billion since his inauguration. And actually, if you compare the 100 days of Obama and the 100 days of Trump, Trump has actually done 2/3 of $1 trillion better than Obama. 2/3 of $1 trillion.
Didn't Obama blow like $8 trillion?
Yeah, he spent a bunch
Yeah.
of money to, was
He's
it
just helping out his
Syria or
buddies.
somewhere?
Half of it goes overseas. There's no
Yeah.
accounting.
Yeah.
On the 13th day
They found-
on the 13th day of Obama's administration, he started increasing the debt. He started increasing the debt after 13 days, and in the first 100 days, he took the debt from 10 trillion to 11 trillion. In the first 100 days, he added $1 trillion in
trillion.
the first 100
But
billion.
he was doing it in chunks of trillions.
Yeah. And Trump, on the other hand, started out with almost $20 trillion and has decreased it by $100 billion. $100 billion. So Obama increased it by $1 trillion, and Trump decreased it by $100 billion.
And
So,
Trump,
that's-
every morning before anything happens there, they get in a circle and they pray. Every morning.
Yeah, I heard that.
I didn't know that.
I heard there's Bible studies going on too.
Yep, they have
Cuts aren't deep
prayers.
enough, because at
for the
that
day.
rate, he's going to have to take 8 years just to catch up with what the damage that was done.
Said by Obama in
8 years.
8 years.
Just think if Hillary had gotten in. 8 years of Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless she changed the laws and went to 12.
Yeah, which they were trying to do.
Huge.
Well, they were trying to do it for Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought about it.
Very
And then
from
Michelle,
Kenya.
Big Mike tried to run, and they says, no, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And Barry's still illegal. He's an illegal alien.
Sure he is.
How the heck does his passport
He's from
work?
Kenya.
How does his marriage certificate work?
Well, when you build billions of dollars off the American people, you can pay for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but he did that before he got in, although it took a while to get that birth certificate.
That's because
Yeah.
there's huge forces behind it.
That's true.
Huge
Presidents,
one world government people.
presidents are puppets of jokers. But Barry put in 600 people in key positions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't found them all.
No, they're still
To
taking them out.
make this a Muslim nation by, I think it was 2031, I heard 2021. That's a little early to me. And 2031, I think, is attainable.
Yeah, they're still taking
See,
them out.
a Muslim guy can have 4 wives, and they make about 6 children per wife. And with all of the government gimmies, each wife gets a house, and then they all live in one house. 24 kids, 4 wives, and rent out the other 3.
Yeah.
All on our dime. And then plus, when we're getting a maximum of $1,300 a month from the feds, they're getting, like, with Obama, they were getting $3,400 per person.
Didn't even have to be a citizen.
And then well, as a matter of fact, they gave them a package to train them how to vote and all kinds of crazy things.
Came driver's license,
Driver's license.
Yeah.
free college education, California, Illinois.
Isn't that special?
And
It's stuff we can't do.
speaking about rich people behind things, Rothschild
Oh.
Oh,
pouring
yes.
$27 million into Caesarea, Israel.
What?
Caesarea is a famous biblical city in Jesus' time. It was a harbor, but what's so important about this is that Herod, the one that we see in the Bible, built a temple to Augustus Caesar right next to the synagogue. And so the Rothschilds are excited about this project, and they're pumping more money into this. This is the #1 project in Israel right now, Caesarea, rebuilding Caesarea, because it points to Europe and Israel working together and forming a political and religious bind. together. So it kind of shows how Israel someday can also be working together with a major person in Europe, and Israel and a new union in Europe to be working together. So this kind of symbolizes, I believe, what's going to happen in the future, and that is Israel and the Antichrist are going to have a peace treaty together, and they're going to be bound together, and then eventually their religion's going to be bound together, just like in Caesarea, the temple to Augustus Caesar, and right next to the synagogue that was in Caesarea. So the Rothschilds are putting a lot of money into it because they're the backers of the one world government, and this is a perfect symbol of the one world government right here. And then finally, this was given to me yesterday by Ty, and this is about, is it okay for Christians to use marijuana and other drugs? And which is a very pertinent topic right now.
Marijuana use is in the Bible with a different name.
Yeah. So, Galatians chapter 5. First of all, a couple scriptures. Luke 9:23-25. Then he, Jesus, said to them all, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up the cross daily and follow me. And whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will save it. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit his very self? And that's kind of what being a Christian is.
Right.
Also in Galatians chapter 5, 19-21, Paul talks about this. Now the deeds of the flesh are evident, which are immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, outbursts of anger, disputes, dissensions, factions, envying, drunkenness, carousing, and the things like these, of which I forewarned you, just as I have forewarned you, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. This is probably not any news to anybody.
What's my understanding is if you cross one of the commandments, you've broken them all.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right. The word sorcery here in this verse is pharmakia. That's where we get the word pharmacy. The primary meaning is the use of administering of drugs, usually associated with sorcery or idolatry. Since this verse comes from a list of things that if practiced would preclude one from heaven, this should be a reasonable, strong suggestion that Christians should not practice drug use. In addition to the book of Revelation lists drug use as one of the things which the unrepentant will suffer the wrath of God.
Yeah.
It's an interesting subject because...
It's self-medication.
Yeah.
Alcohol, too.
Just like drugs.
Cancer patients or
Yeah.
people like that, cancer patients.
They don't seem to worry about a glass of wine or two a day, but 30.
Or when you're, drugged out of your skull.
It's like people say, well, it's a natural source. Well, so is belladonna. You don't want to take that either.
There's a bunch of stuff,
Hemlock.
Yeah, really.
Hemlock is a poison.
A poison.
It's also a plant, too.
Yeah.
And you can find that in the forest. You don't want to.
No.
So it's a pretty pertinent subject.
Crack, cocaine.
Grind up a peach pit and snort it. See what happens. That's what is that? Cyanide.
Really?
Yeah, really. Wow.
Yeah, the inside of a peach pit.
I've read that watermelon rind is healthy for you. You make like a tea out of it or
Well,
something.
you know, we always have this discussion because this is actually the real big discussion is what about drugs of all sorts? You know, if
As far as recreational drugs, or
well, just drugs period. For instance, the question is, okay, you take marijuana for pain alleviation. Okay, you're against that, but you're for.
it's supposed to be good to kill cancer.
Yeah, but you know, it's okay to use.
Acetaminophen or something.
Yeah, or the big drug that's popular, the pumps, morphine pump.
Morphine, yeah.
You know.
It's supposed to be really good. I mean, you know, but you can get hooked with it.
Well, I could just tell you this is an anecdotal thing, but
Yeah.
I have a brother-in-law that's got Parkinson's disease, and he's the only person in my wife's family that's ever had Parkinson's disease. He's had it since his early 50s, and he's a habitual pot smoker.
Oh.
I thought that was supposed to help it.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is
to help
that
everything almost.
he was never really too much. I mean, he's pretty much normal in any other way, but he smokes a lot of pot.
I always wondered that if because it masks the symptoms, if they think that it's actually curing them.
It's not really true.
I'm not talking about studies. I'm not talking about
Making
somebody
them
high
more
saying if it's
comfortable.
okay.
Supposedly.
You know, there's been a lot more studies now than there had been 30 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. You often wonder, you know, well, I take 7 pills in the morning, so I can stay alive.
But most of the drugs that the doctor gives you just treat the symptoms. And
Wow.
not
It
the
doesn't
problem.
cure
Yeah,
the problem.
exactly.
That's 3 more than I take in the morning. I only take 4.
And that's a good
My
question.
drug of choice.
It's a good question.
Ooh, they haven't said anything against caffeine yet.
It's supposed to be good for you.
Yeah, what's it good? The truth of it
Have
is,
too much.
if you take a look at the medical community, it's steeped in the occult. The Hippocratic Oath, take a look at the Hippocratic Oath, for starters. The whole medical community is steeped out of the occult, really.
Oh, sure, even their symbolism.
Symbolism, everything, is steeped in the occult.
Keep snakes
Of
on
course,
clothes.
then,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, then again, so is our calendar. Nobody seems to object to Saturnalia or Saturday or any of the other days of the week that are pagan throwbacks from
The original church, the days were numbered. They didn't have names. They didn't name them until about 200 A.D.
These are all named after pagan Greek gods.
But Saturday's a Sabbath. I read more recently in the last 2 weeks or so.
I guess
Now I'm going on Saturday.
I guess the whole deal is what causes you to lose control of yourself. And if it's just like alcohol, and you lose control.
The Bible
of
talks
who you
about
are.
that too.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And just like pot smoking, if you smoke pot till you're stoned, which takes very little, you lose control.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going there. If they had something that would help a medical condition that I wouldn't get high off of, I might consider it. But,
Well,
and then I'd have to be in Illinois anyway.
well, that's what they're talking about, cannabis oil, I guess.
Right, it's supposed to help
Without giving you the
high, yeah.
Yeah.
It's and then, oh man, the paper industry, clothing, the first Levi's were made out of hemp.
Yeah.
But what's the first thing they do after they get medical marijuana as a law?
Tax it.
Then they go to
So
recreation.
the next step is recreational, like
Because the
trying
truth of
that.
it is there's not enough people to justify.
Are they trying
Let's
to
face
get
it,
it here?
there is not enough people to justify medical use of marijuana. it's
Well,
only a
What they're really looking for is recreational. I think.
Yeah.
Who's got this? Colorado or something like that?
Colorado.
Colorado.
And then you go do excursions to get high. You know,
And then
like,
of course tax money follows after that.
Great tourist.
well, I think it's there already. They're making a ton of money off of tax.
Yeah. Well, it's just like any place though. It's like gambling here. Well, we only
Yeah, that's
want
true.
gambling on boats. Then it moved inland.
Yeah.
Pretty soon it's going to be
This
everywhere.
casino,
At first it was just gonna be for our schools,
Yeah, for
Yeah,
schools.
Yeah, right.
and then it went into the general budget, and now it's for everything.
well, the thing, they built this casino on a waterbed. The
Yeah.
basement is a waterbed. Trying to
Wild
stay
Rose?
with, huh?
Wild Rose?
Waterbed.
Oh,
Yeah,
wa-
wa-
it's on the water.
Which is
Out here?
a modern term for
Really?
swamp.
Yeah,
Modern
in the
term for
basement
swamp.
is full of a waterbed.
It's
Plastic liner like a swimming pool in the top, just a waterbed full of
Yeah.
water to get past the law.
it's a swamp. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
before they put land-based casinos with a moat around it,
Yeah.
and then this one has a waterbed.
Since I wondered about the other ones out in like Los
Well,
Which is
some
also-
don't have it, you know,
which is
the
a-
laws change.
Which is also a good way of realtors to sell land that's swampy for high price, for high price land.
I can tell you.
Yeah, an old cemetery's on a swamp out there.
So, well, yeah.
But the casino is like about 10 feet higher than the land around it.
Yeah, because they don't want to be flooded.
No, of course not. Take that down to gills, you know, when it floods.
Yeah,
And then the other cemetery they haven't built on it.
right.
Oh,
So,
Wow.
But they knew what they were doing. That's a lot of filth.
But
Matter of
with
fact, they got it from across the road.
yeah, they did, from that hillside.
Yeah.
From,
Wow.
From, the last story, the next thing we were talking about. I just say that in all things, we need to pray and ask God's instruction. You know, we like to put God in a box, you know, and say, this is what healing is a huge subject. And to say that, you know, you either believe in divine healing or you don't, you know, is ridiculous because there's all sorts of different things that figure into the subject of healing, including gradual healing, is one thing that God sometimes does not heal because He's got a greater purpose, such as, you know, seeing other people come to know Christ. Healing is only a band-aid anyhow. All healing. You can have the greatest healing, it's all band-aids because eventually we're all going to die.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Except for two people.
And except if we do get raptured, the rapture. But, you know, what would be better is if you would be ill and go to a doctor or a nurse or a care provider of some sort, and you lead them to Christ or witness to them, and they come to know Christ, then you suffering from an illness. Okay? You'll get great eternal benefits from that. So God may be blessing us by allowing us to be ill. So often we just see things as good and bad. You know,
That Roman soldier watching Christ die on the cross
exactly.
went to Christ.
Yeah.
Seriously.
His whole house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. And then a couple of the guys that were in prison, they brought whole households of
Yeah.
guards with them. The
wow.
one he was
Without
chained
being-
to.
Without being in that prison, without being on the cross, without suffering, that can be that may be God's infinite plan on leading others to Christ.
Yeah, it's like
And if you didn't
that
have-
one guy that's part of the Bible is basically, that we read, is his letters to his hometown for like 10 years.
Yep. So the point that I'm just making is that healing is a very big subject. Just pray about it. You know, God's will for your life. And you know, I always tell people, go to the doctors. Go to the doctors. You know, if you run into a person that says, I had cancer, but God healed me. Well, how do you know you had cancer? Well, I just felt like I had cancer. You know, it's not verifiable. But if you go to a doctor, they say you've got cancer, and then you get healed from that, you actually have some proof. I always think it's nice to have the proof so that people can't scoff at you and say, "Oh, you stalled." I mean, so I think it's sometimes good to go to the doctors so we know what to pray for, and so that God heals you if He does choose to do that, rather than take you home, because going to heaven is the ultimate healing.
Yeah.
You know.
It is.
So, I thank God for this time that I have here on earth, but I know that it's going to be much better in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So, as all things, let God's will be done on heaven and earth, and
Some
in our
people
lives.
don't even like you to pray that. They don't
Because it
want
sounds
you
like
to
it's
pray
not-
God's will.
But
Well,
does it not? It sounds like it's
we
not
want our
faith.
will?
One of the
Sounds like
interesting
it's
things,
They want their will.
one of the interesting things that I've read in the last few weeks is that creation didn't stop on the sixth day. It's occurring right now. Everything that you see, touch, and feel is being recreated billions of times a second by the entity that brought us along.
Well, you know, our human bodies, you know, regenerating.
They're talking about evenly tables and things like that, and steel, rock. It's all being reassociated in a quantum level, billions of times a second. That's the only reason it's all together. Because of intention.
Well, the Bible says that God holds all things together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jesus holds all together. And probably in other areas too. I mean, it's different verbiage.
Right. Okay, well that's all I have. Does anybody else have anything else? Okay.
In listening to Joseph Prince, he says something very significant will happen this year. Doesn't think it's the rapture. He was talking about 777. Hard to concentrate the word, so. He thinks something significant will happen this year.
Well,
The outbreak in North Korea, that'd be a war, maybe.
I think that's a pretty safe bet that something significant is going to happen this year. I think it's a fairly significant guess. Yeah, I expect that something in the world scene will flare up.
Well, it's getting pretty hot over there.
Yeah.
A lot of
Keep
tension.
reading
A lot of
conflicting
tension.
reports on all that stuff out
A
there.
lot of
The
tension.
economy.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that this last budget that only goes to the fall, that's all designed to a big fight in the fall. Because now the Republicans really didn't get much in this budget. They didn't really get much. But now with a budget, you can now go back to Obamacare, with the name of Obamacare, and you can start adding some other things like the wall, even though it wasn't in the budget.
You know, did you hear what Ted Cruz wants to do is use the money from that Mexican governor
Chapo.
who was
El
a
Chapo.
cartel or something, use that money, $14 million or something,
Billion.
or $billion.
Billion. Why
start
not?
Building
The wall would cost
start
like,
building the wall.
The wall would cost $12 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
I got $2 billion.
Why not?
Well, they
So-
froze his assets or
I'd say-
something, that
Yeah.
Chapa guy?
Yeah.
And
And the
since
other-
we're prosecuting them, we should have that
Sure, build a wall with
Where's
it.
the money? Is it down in,
Mexico.
it's in Mexico, and we're supposed to get it. That'll work.
They froze his ass.
Well, there again.
They froze it.
There
You
again.
can get it.
There again.
Bankers are in control, basically.
Right. The bankers want.
It's an international cartel.
If the bankers want to give it to the United States, we'll get it.
Trump says the government should shut down.
This government?
Yep.
Yeah, there's
He
talk
said
about
that's the
government
only way
shutdown.
They had a shutdown and they paid
They
everybody.
should shut down.
See, these are all bargaining
That's
chips.
what he thinks.
This is all bargaining chips.
He said
These
he
are all
wasn't
being
happy
said.
when they did
These
the
are all said
budget.
to redo
So
Obamacare.
the Democrats are saying, you know, it's a problem for the Republicans if we shut it down. Shut it down.
That's what he said, shut it down.
Shut it down.
And then they go and sign a budget.
Well, just till
The
October.
government.
See,
And so maybe it won't, they
So
won't be
here's-
able to get one again,
if we don't have significant, if we don't have
improvement.
significant change in legislation by October, I'm going to tell you the government's going to shut down. And this is the reason why. I got to tell you,
Shut it down.
I can tell you, if you have a little money to invest in silver, I'd be investing it right now because you shut the government down, and I'm going to tell you, silver and gold prices are going to skyrocket.
I like
They will
silver better
skyrocket.
than gold.
Yeah, they will skyrocket overnight. And just as soon as the budget gets solved, I would consider selling it for a profit. I think we're at a place right now that if the government doesn't get shut down, there's going to be significant political repercussions against the Republican Party. I think this is okay because I see this as just a maneuvering to get some major
Get some
legislation
things
through.
going.
But if we don't get, if the Republicans don't get any major legislation through by October, the government's going down.
Their health thing
Wow.
was a
The
joke.
government's shutting down.
They were supposed to knock out Obamacare. That's how these people got elected. They didn't do anything.
So they had to water it down to get the Republican vote. But right now,
Yeah,
I
because he
see
doesn't have everybody behind him.
you could have 21 Republicans defecting.
Yeah.
Well, right now there's only 20. So they're within the ability to be able to pass it now. Of course, the Senate's going to reject it, and that's where we're going to come to the next budget in October, and the government's going to shut down, and they're going to start until we get some of this major legislation through. This is what I'm thinking. Because if that doesn't happen, the Republicans are going to suffer badly.
The Republicans are so splintered right now that
Yep.
they don't know which way is up.
People forget, basically, in the course of a year or so. But during an election year, which is next year, you better have something to show for it.
Yeah, it's like Benghazi is way back there, and that's old news.
Yeah.
And then also the SEAL Team 6, that's old news.
Ah.
You know,
So,
Bin Laden, old news.
Mm.
not that I have any money to invest. I think that I'm pretty sure that we're going to have some sort of a huge budget fight, and silver will spike up. Traditionally, when we've had problems with the budget, silver and gold have spiked. Stock market will go down.
I understand silver should be like 4 times what it is right now to be on parity with gold. It's artificially being held low. I don't know. I don't understand.
More than 4 times. More than 4 times.
I mean, right now?
Silver should be at $90 right now.
What's that, like 15?
20. 15.
Went up?
But
It wasn't 10 too long ago.
no, I bought a bunch at 8. Not a bunch, I should say, at $100 at 8 and sold it at 40.
Wow.
And there'll be.
But Uncle Sam is right there, right, with the gains?
Well, yeah, but
There's enough room there.
it's not a lot of money. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I had like around 100 ounces. So it's not a ton of money. You know.
The problem there is that where are you going to
If I would
store
have
it?
followed my own advice, I would have put all of my
Liquid.
retirement savings in it, and then I would have had some money. I didn't follow my own advice. Bought a house instead.